Okay, guys, I'm going to go over how to do this text to self evidence writing response. So you should have already put this document into your Notability. If you have not, don't worry. You will be able to do it in a little bit. So basically what we're going to be doing is we are going to be doing two things. We are going to write one text to self connection with the short story Stray, and then you are going to include what the connection is and the evidence to support it. Okay, so below is the rubric on how you'll be graded. If you want to reach mastery, you need to answer the question using relevant text evidence, and you include a thoughtful personal connection with the text. If you want to be proficient, the learner will answer a question by using text evidence, but it may be weak or irrelevant. Or the learner includes a personal connection with the text, but it may be weak or irrelevant. If you need improvement, the learner does not include text evidence, and it does not make a personal connection. So there's two parts to this. So you can get a 3 for text evidence, but a 2 for personal connection, or vice versa. So we did provide you with an example. Your example is right here. So it says, one text to self connection I have with Stray is that I have been disappointed by a decision that my parents made, like Doris. In the story Stray, Doris cried herself to sleep, and her dreams were full of searching for lost things. So this is the example that I'm going to use, but I'm going to talk through how I got to this example, and we're going to use it on this next page. So if you do not remember what a text to self connection is, I'm just going to remind you real quick. So I'm going to say text to self connection is a connection, about a personal experience. So when we're making a connection, a personal experience to the story, we need to think about, how have you connected with the story? Have you ever been in the same situation as a character in the story? Has something ever happened just like something happened in the story? So that's really what our first step has to be. So if you move down, it says now it's your turn to write one. So step 1 says write down your text to self connection you had with Stray. If you don't remember it, you can look back on Wednesday, September 2nd, task number 2. Be sure to write it in a complete sentence. So I'm going to look back at task number 2, or if I want to come up with a new one, I can. So I'm going to reflect back onto my example from earlier. Okay, and then I'm going to type it in a complete sentence. So my text to self connection is that I have been disappointed in my parents. There's been many times that my parents made a decision and I've been upset about it and I've cried about it. So that's something that Doris experienced that I also experienced as well. So in order to write that in a complete sentence, I'm going to say one text to self connection I have with Stray is that I have been disappointed by a decision that my parents made, like Doris. So again, I'm relating my personal experience back to Doris's. Please make sure that you spell Stray correctly and you spell Doris correctly, especially because it's going to be important to give ownership to the story and the character. So then we are going to try to find 2 examples of text evidence to support your answer. Remember to copy down the text evidence word for word and to use quotation marks around it. So we've talked a little bit about text evidence and how to use it. So that's what we're going to do right now. So, like I said in my connection, I have been disappointed by my parents. So I need to find the part in the story where Doris is disappointed by her parents. I need to try to find 2 examples of that. So if you didn't know in Notability, you can take your finger and pull to the right, and you can pull up different notes, and you can actually put them side by side. So I'm going to pull up the stray passage. Actually, I'm going to see if I can just keep these side by side. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to pull up the stray passage, and I'm going to look through here and figure out when did she feel let down by her parents. So I'm going to look through, read through it a little bit. I think one example from here could be this one right here. She knew her parents wouldn't let her keep it. Her father made so little money and pets were out of the question. Okay, I think that could be one time that she's been disappointed by her parents. So then what I would do is I would go back to my practice and I would copy that down word for word. So I'm going to try to see view on left. Let's see if that works. Yay, it worked. Okay. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to use my little tool. I'm actually going to, okay. So I'm going to put remember that if we're doing this, we need a quotation mark around the text. So she knew her parents wouldn't let her keep it, comma, that her father made so little money and, oops, any pets were out of the question. So I did it word for word, and then I put quotation marks around it. Okay, now this is not like a book, so there's not really a page number. So I'm just gonna say on what page of my document did I find this, and I found this on page 2. So I put the author's last name. So her last name is Rylant 2. Okay, so I'm going to check back at my example and I'm going to see if I did the punctuation correctly. So I put quotation marks around it. Perfect. The only thing I need outside of this would be a period. Okay, so looking back at my example, I gave one piece of text evidence, but in step 2, it says I need to find 2 examples. So I'm just going to go back and I'm going to show you the one that I did in the example up top. This one says that the text evidence was that Doris cried herself to sleep and her dreams were full of searching for lost things. Period. And then I'm put those quotations, and then I'm just going to copy down the author's last name and page number. Okay, and that's all you have to do for this activity. Just to go over it one more time, you are writing down your text-to-self connection, and then you're providing 2 examples of text evidence from the text to back up your connection. If you cannot find evidence from the text to back up your connection, then unfortunately you're going to have to think up of a new connection. Feel free to ask your teacher for help if you are struggling with this.